Well, welcome to the Conquers Leader podcast. I'm Mark Pittman, the CEO of the Conquers Leadership Group, and today our guest is Alan Henderson. He's the general manager of his radio network that has radio stations or towers all through the Carolinas and Georgia. Alan, did I say that right with the stations, or is it towers? Which is repeaters?
Actually, I guess you could say frequencies.
Nice.
Like our address is, the number you dial on your radio, 89.3 or whatever. But yeah, those are frequencies, and they all have to do with transmitters and towers.
Okay, well, I've learned a lot. One of my I don't know if I shared this with you, but my first consulting client ever was a membership-based radio station up in Maine, so that went regional. So I love the geeky part of this. For those of you who are listening, Alan and I happen to live in the same town, or happen to work here in Greenville, South Carolina, and getting to know each other over the past year, and I've just really been impressed with not only his cutting edge use of technology and apps and trying to reach listeners for his radio station in ways where the listeners are used to, not just forcing them to the radio, but also his long time of being in this sector. He has always inspired me as someone who's a lifelong learner and exuberant. All his years have added to just building that exuberance and his desire to do what he's doing. So, Alan, I'm really honored to have you on here. And as we do on the podcast, what I love to hear is just, what do you love about leading? What are some things that you really enjoy about being a leader?
Well, there are a lot of great things and then challenging things. One thing that you discover when you step into that role of leadership, or people reporting to you, is it's a heavy weight of responsibility, and you realize that what you say matters. But really, the thing that I've enjoyed about leadership is just the relationships that we can build, and just being someone that can help solve problems and help other people reach their goals. Because the people that we work with, you don't want to be like you're the boss and my way or the highway. You got to work with people and let them feel valued. And one of the things I've tried to learn is that relationship is more important than the problem. And sometimes,
Wow.
You can lose the relationship going headfirst into a problem, and you need to get all the facts before you make decisions, and hopefully let people be a part of the decision process. So, there's more buy-in, and you work more like a team. It's not like a dictatorship. It's really a team effort, and I like the servant aspect of leading. My job is to make sure you have everything to do your job, and realize that people are just, they're just people with families and lives and goals, and where you work or where you minister or whatever, that's a big part of your life, and that affects your life. So I like being a part of people's lives, even at the lower levels of not just in the office, but outside of the office, and, things that we can do together.
That's awesome. Now, you've also hinted to the other part of being a leader is, I love the relationships that you talk about. You get to build relationships, and your just awareness of how central work can be, influencing all aspects of someone's life. You did mention you have to be really careful what you say. Does that go into the second part, which is describing a time when you had an issue or a challenge in leadership? And
well, you can just like in my situation here, I worked here as a staff member from about 1983 to 1990. And then in 1990, I became the manager. I became like the boss, which I don't really like that term, but there's the boss. Mm-hmm. And I realized just in casual conversation or whatever, you could say something, and then some people would say, well, he said this or he said that. It carries more weight. It's almost like you can say something casually or just matter of factly, and all of a sudden someone thinks you're changing policy or something. And one thing I learned a long time ago, you can't be a buddy and a boss, and you have to really be able to draw those lines. You want to build a relationship and be a part of someone's life and be an encourager and that kind of thing, but there are boundaries, I think, that you have to place. And being in an organization that is media central with a lot of creative people, you can get into you can get some drama going on with just issues. That's a nice way of putting it, about what equipment you use and how it's used. It's just a delicate balance sometimes, because when you're working with creative people, they need to have some freedom, to express their creative talents. You don't want to come over so heavy-handed that you squash that. It's a challenge we're donor-based. So the listener is premier, especially the listeners that are donors, it's very important that we keep those relationships strong. And then when we go out into the community, we are who people think we are, because we tend to be bigger than life. And then, you want to be real face to face, so people can say, "Hey, it's just like he is on the radio."
Wow.
And that can be a big challenge to be real people, because you're being observed like a glass house, like a pastor or whatever. People, they read into a lot of things that you may do or say. And when you become the leader, how many times you people going, "I want to talk to the manager." It can either be good or it can be challenging. So it does. You do realize that you are, the face of the organization, and that's really important how you react.
So interesting, because that's one thing in coaching leaders I think surprises a lot of, especially CEOs or executive directors, is the weight of their words. They said something last week, but now they have the title general manager, a CEO, executive director, and all of a sudden it seems like there's so much more weight behind what they said. Or their hallway conversations can't be the same anymore because they could just be verbally expressing and thinking through something, but it comes with that weight of authority. Oh, the boss wants me to do this now, when it was just an idea that you would have been brainstorming the month
before. Just thinking out loud, maybe.
Yeah.
So you learn to guard your words and be careful without, saying things without thinking through, because like you said before, you're just one of the, you just kind of talking, but then when you become like where the buck stops with you, then you realize, oh, wait a minute, it may be taking that a little too seriously.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. That's, I think a lot of us struggle with that and are learning with that. As we come to the end of this edition of the podcast, I'm wondering, is there a strategy or a tip or something that you have found to help you with that?
One thing that I try to focus on, and a lot of these difficult situations are really based on emotion and relationships, and you got to know what's going on in people's lives, but I try to focus more on who I am than what I'm supposed to do. We tend to get caught up in leadership of doing, and I have a board that I'm accountable to, and I'm expected to meet certain goals and those kinds of things. So it becomes almost, it pushes you into just doing. I got to do this, I got to do that, and get other people to help me do it. But you forget to think about, no, it's really who I am. People will follow a leader that, if you can get the sense of the difference in that, is, some people are more, they work on tasks, they're task orientated, and other people are, think a little bit differently in the big picture. But I think you need a good sense of who you are, and you need a good dose of humility, and knowing that you depend on other people to accomplish your goals. And if you can't work with people on an emotional level and get buy-in, you'll have so much conflict that you'll spend all your time putting out fires, and you won't be able to do really what you're called or hired to do. But getting a good sense of yourself, being comfortable with yourself, and having a healthy, view of yourself, not walking around woe is me, and I'm no good, I'm an idiot, and I can't do anything, or like one day they're going to discover really how stupid I am and fire me. Everybody feels that way. It's not exclusive to any one person. Everybody feels unprepared, disorganized, trying to catch up all the time. And you just got to have a good sense of yourself. And another thing, I think, and this is one of my biggest struggles, is don't take yourself so seriously. Be willing to laugh with people and just enjoy the day without getting all caught up with all the issues, even though they're piling up like crazy.
Right, especially on your desk. Yeah.
Oh my word, it's unbelievable. And so you've got all these things, and you always say, well, how many plates are we spinning today? And it's easy to get caught up in that and forget even why you're doing what you're doing. So a good sense of yourself, just you have to answer the question, who am I and what am I doing here? Then, what you need to do will come naturally. It'll find you, and you'll do it.
Thanks so much, Alan, because it is really easy to focus on all the to-do lists and that old nugget that people have said, we're human beings, not human doings. So I think that's a really good reminder for us, and really appreciate your sharing some of your wisdom and insights here on the Conquerors Leader podcast. For future episodes, go to conqueredleadershipgroup.com/podcast and replay this episode and all the other episodes that the other CEOs will be interviewing and have interviewed. So thanks so much for being here, Alan.
Thank you so much. Honored to talk with you. Really admire what you're doing, and appreciate your encouragement and all of your leadership and helping us get to be donor-centered, or people-centered in what we do.
Where can people find you?
Just go to hisradio.com.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Alan.
Just one word. Yep. Thank you.
Until next time, remember, Healthy nonprofits start with healthy leaders.